Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. I hope all of you had an absolutely fantastic weekend. We got a lot of Bethesda news to get into, and we're coming hot off that final verdict for Starfield. I appreciate all the feedback on that video. It was definitely nice to see a lot of people were in agreement with what I had to say about Starfield needing some wrongs to be righted. And so it looks like we may just get that, as Starfield is getting 5 years worth of updates at the very least. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to get into Elder Scrolls Castles, this brand new BGS game that's quietly slipped out onto a very specific market. I'll give some thoughts on that. We even have gameplay to show off today. And last but not least, Fallout 76 rated higher than Starfield on Steam. Is there something to this? Is 76 truly the better game? We'll have that very unexpected conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, you're into Bethesda news, information, reviews, all that stuff. It looks like we're going to be busy for a while with everything coming out, so consider subscribing. And with that, let's begin with Starfield and the amount of support that it is getting. So this article is labeled From Games Radar, more than Skyrim or Fallout. Todd Howard says Starfield was intentionally made to be played for a long time, and Bethesda's looking 5+ years ahead. Now, this is key, but also for some people, it may be obvious. Bethesda has said for a while that since Skyrim, they've changed how they look at making their own games. They'll ask themselves, how do we make this game last as long as possible? And I feel like that may have been one of the biggest problems with Starfield is, well, maybe they would have made 3 smaller star systems like I mentioned in my final verdict video if they didn't feel the pressure to make a game that would last a decade plus, like Skyrim has, like Fallout 4 will continue to do so, and maybe even Fallout 76. Let's read the quote here, which comes from a little bit of an interview that Todd Howard did with Ted Price, head of Insomniac Games. It's a great listen. You should check it out. But here were the fire quotes. Even a game like Skyrim, which you look at launch, was still a really, really big game. If you look at it today with add-ons and mods, it's a much bigger game. It's still a game that's played 12 years later in large numbers for us. I think if you look at your audience, they get used to a game and they usually want to +1 it. They want to add X, Y, Z, and the developers, we usually do as well. This is a game and it's intentionally made to be played for a long time, he affirms. One of the things we've learned from our previous games, from Skyrim, from Fallout, is that people want to play them for a very long time. So Starfield, I would say, was the most intentional going into it, that this is a game people are going to play for a long time. How do we build it such that it is allowing in a way that feels natural? And if people have played the game and finished the main quest, you can see that, which, yes, no spoilers, but Bethesda Game Studios adding New Game Plus, I linked it to what I think was a pretty good example in how people are losing their minds that From Software added a jump button in Elden Ring, and a lot of people who really weren't into the FromSoft, the Souls-like genre are going, well, what's the big deal here? But when a Souls-like got a jump button, you knew that was a game changer, and that's how a lot of people were feeling pre-launch with Starfield, hearing that Bethesda Game Studios did New Game Plus. Like, wait, doesn't the story just continue on afterwards? What happens here? Why are we going to keep rolling characters? So this was one of the first deliberate mechanics they've added to incentivize that continuous replay value, and I can't wait to see in these future updates how I think undoubtedly they're going to add on top of that and fill that component of the game out. But there's still more information here, so let's keep reading. But it also is one where, okay, where does Starfield look like in 3 months? What does it look like in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? We've learned that that's going to happen, so let's be ready for it, make the most of it, and embrace it. That's both what we do here and with our modding community. We've learned so much there, giving ourselves a really, really good base of a game to build upon for everyone. It's kind of funny. Starfield is absolutely a single-player game. It's jam-packed with content. You can play all of it how you desire, but doesn't this sound like service game kind of talk? Like, this is the stuff you hear about your Destinies. All those different live service games have this same sort of spiel of, this is the framework, this is the base experience, and we're going to add on top of it. And what I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is welcome to the era of Xbox's digital vision. A lot of games they're launching are going to be platforms. I think Fable is going to be a platform because it's just being called Fable. Forza Motorsport going from 7, I believe it was, in 2017 to now Forza Motorsport, and it's a platform, and they're going to add on top of it. There's still single-player games, something that in the case of Forza Motorsport, Dan Greenawalt had emphasized, like, no, this is still a AAA game. We've still worked very hard to make sure it's a jam-packed game. It's a premium game, but they're making it with the intent of adding onto it as the years go on because of Game Pass. Game Pass is the game changer here. When Starfield has surpassed 10 million players so quickly and undoubtedly is on its way to pass 15 and 20 million in due time, this is unfortunately the double-edged sword you get with Xbox exclusives now. I don't think you're going to get many one and dones and we're out of here. Like maybe Hellblade 2 will be that. Maybe the game coming from Compulsion will be that. I personally would hope we're still going to get those experiences, but the big ones like these are 100% going to be built to last. But the reason this is relieving to me is, as someone who has a litany of criticisms for Starfield, I have a lot of things that I hope would improve, and I'll always remember that moment of betrayal I felt with Fallout 4 when they went, yep, Nuka World's the last one, last DLC. We'll see you guys in the next game. And I was like, wait, hold on. We still got a lot of work to do here. What are you talking about? You're moving on. So with Starfield, seeing that there are a lot of things that can be addressed here, and they've talked about what they're going to address beyond, PC settings, things like DLSS being implemented, stuff like city maps, that type of change being brought into the game. I'm very excited that they're listening to that feedback. Not only that, but that with all these years of support, they can go much further with things than they previously had before. At least that's my hope. And on top of that, one of the critiques I had in my final verdict video for Starfield was the lack of use for House Faroon, the lack of use for some of the factions in the game beyond just their very self-contained storylines and not really intersecting enough. And now we can maybe see more building out of that. And it goes to what I said, which is, 5 years from now, I think maybe even 2 years from now, Starfield may be a totally different experience from start to finish. I think they're going to add things like survival mode. You can feel the stripped out mechanics of survival mode in this game. That's going to be an easy add-on for them. That's going to be an easy way to incentivize people to play the game again and again and again. So yeah, Starfield is going to be supported for at least 5 years. You can bookmark that, keep it installed for a while if you're enjoying it, and know that Bethesda is going to be continuously updating it. And also for my PC players out there, hopefully this does not mean we have to redo our mods each and every single time, and we can find some sort of workaround for that. Let's move on to this new Bethesda Game Studios game called The Elder Scrolls Castles. It was soft announced. There really wasn't a big public statement to my knowledge. It was just found online on the Google Play App Store. Shout out to my Apple bros out there. We're still stuck with Elder Scrolls Blades and Fallout Shelter. No Elder Scrolls Castles for us quite yet. And the reason I'm a little annoyed by that, this kind of looks like Elder Scrolls Fallout Shelter. Now, shield your eyes a bit. This art style may be kind of offensive to you if you're like an Elder Scrolls purist. Like, at least Fallout Shelter's art style worked really well with the Vault Boy, the Vault Girl. It was a good fit. But what you see here with Elder Scrolls Castles, like, what is going on here? This is not the first thing that comes to mind when I think of an Elder Scrolls game on the go. Now, Todd Howard did mention that there was a game that they absolutely loved internally. I'm going to guess this is it. Now, when you connect Fallout Shelter to any mobile game, you have my attention because I am not one who bends the knee often to mobile games, but Fallout Shelter is and probably always will be the GOAT of mobile games. I mean, I threw so much time into that thing and didn't throw a penny at it. Now, eventually, as Bethesda went, oh, we got something here. This is our most played game ever. We should probably monetize this more. You were incentivized to do the Nuka-Cola Quantum, the lunch boxes, and the like. But yeah, at first it was fantastic, and that's where most of the time was spent for me. Now, the description here on the Google Play Store reads, build your dynasty, tell your story for generations. Each day in real life covers the span of an entire year in the Elder Scrolls Castles. Train your subjects, name heirs, and maintain order to help your kingdom flourish. Will you keep your subjects happy and ensure a long life for their ruler, or will they grow discontent and plot assassination? Manage your castle. Customize your castle from the ground up, adding and expanding rooms, placing lavish decorations and inspirational monuments, and even assign subjects to workstations to ensure your castle has the resources to thrive for years to come. See, sound familiar? Fallout Shelter. Rule your kingdom. Make key decisions that impact your legacy. Will you risk a limited supply of food to aid a neighboring kingdom? How should a heated spat between your subjects be settled? Your choices determine if your rule will inspire prosperity or lead your castle to peril. And lastly, complete epic quests, create heroes, equip them with epic gear, and send them to battle against classic Elder Scrolls foes to collect valuable items and keep your kingdom growing, which is the same as sending someone out of the vault and having them get items for you and return over time. So yeah, very much the Fallout Shelter treatment for Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls fans, I'm pouring one out for you. I know you're suffering right now. Just a lot of ESO expansions, now a mobile game. Here's hoping that the Oblivion remake remaster is truly 100% legit in everything that we dream it's going to be, and that it is a good, we'll say, it satiates us enough to hold us off until Elder Scrolls 6. And now the pressure's really on. We're getting mobile games before Elder Scrolls 6. We got Elder Scrolls Legends. It's like Bethesda's doing everything in their power except ES6. I understand Starfield just came out, but when you really just look at the order of operations here, it's fascinating how long Elder Scrolls fans have been dragged along for and will continue to be dragged along for. And with that in mind, you look at 5+ years of Starfield support and you have to wonder, how long is that going to bump back Elder Scrolls 6? But that's just taking their sweet time with that. I still think based off the trajectory of this generation, we're looking for a new one in 2028. I think ES6 would be a launch title, but that is just my big guess. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our last story here. Starfield is rated even lower on Steam than Fallout 76 now, and it does make it, minus VR games and everything, Bethesda Game Studios' lowest rated game ever. Wow. How does Fallout 76 eclipse Starfield? We'll get into all that, but you can see here the rating for Starfield, which is at 71.05%, and then you have 76, which is beating it out by 0.75. It's still winning, though, which is incredible in its own right. You look at 76 and the launch it had, you look at what's going on with Starfield and the launch it's had, the polish it has, and you think, well, how is this possible? Here is the key factor, and this is actually to support both games, quite frankly. Fallout 76 came out on Steam when Wastelanders dropped. And I will always say, while I'm not a big 76 fan, Wastelanders was awesome. Wastelanders was fantastic. It was the answer that 76 needed. It brought the game up from a mixed review rating to mostly positive, which was mind-blowing unto itself. But 76 really did start the turnaround there. Now, since then, the updates have been scattered in the terms of quality, but you can at least say, hey, it's an online Fallout game, and I can play it with my friends, quest around. There are NPCs here, which should have been there from the start. This is what 76 should have been. So it felt like life began anew, and that led to a very positive start for this game. Make no mistake, if 76 was on Steam when it had launched, and I'm not saying this because people will take it this way to cope or to say, oh, my Starfield, it's got to be better. No. We're not taking that route. But let's be honest, if 76 was out on Steam when this game was first releasing in 2018, we know where it would be rated. We know it would be the worst. So to me, this has always been a non-story, but this also speaks to one other thing, one other truth that even the biggest Starfield fans, you guys got to look in the mirror and admit it. This is a divisive game. There are a lot of people who love it. This is their first BGS game, and it's delivering on everything. There are people who couldn't connect with Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and this is the one that they have been looking for. There are people who don't care about the massive amount of fast traveling like I do, and have really connected with Starfield and what it's trying to do. And then there are people like me who are, I put this in quotes, so pardon me, but the BGS purist who loves their particular Fallout Elder Scrolls style experience and wanted more of that in Starfield and feels like it's completely missing, which hurts the experience that me as a user is having, where I don't like Starfield as much as Fallout and Elder Scrolls. It's still an amazing game, but it's one that I struggle to fully give myself over to that gameplay loop. And many people are on that side of the page. Naturally, when you mix that in with the console war drivel, some of the conversation around most of the conversation around Starfield has been pretty destructive, to say the least, which speaks to the size of the game that is continuing to find success regardless of all that. But yes, Starfield also, I think, was subject to a lot of, and I don't say this again in a defensive way, reactive criticism. You're coming out sandwiched between two pretty strong RPG of the year contenders in Phantom Liberty and Baldur's Gate 3, and then Starfield's in the middle. All of them are doing their own things in fantastic ways, and it's why I love them all. I know that's the very much riding the fence type of answer here, but it's the truth. I love Starfield's sense of openness. I love its focus on talking to people and questing, whereas I love Cyberpunk's openness in gameplay, the options to how I can approach any area, the play styles. It's fantastic. And then Baldur's Gate just speaks to my BioWare love of choice and consequence everywhere you go and coming back to bite you in the ass way down the line. All of them are fantastic in their own ways, and I feel like we should just be reveling in all that. That doesn't mean you have to like all of them, but I feel like we should just be thriving as RPG fans, not arguing. But point being is Starfield is still, despite all of that, a divisive game because there are people across the entire RPG spectrum that are enjoying a variety of titles here that speak to them in different ways. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's going on in the world of Bethesda. Quite a lot happening here. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts on all the Starfield news, 5+ years of updates, and even Elder Scrolls Castles on the way. So with that, fire away down below. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the heck out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.